spots in the valley to the Boone Bridge, not that bad. It backs up briefly at Wing Haven and then Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70. South 270 bogs down approaching Olive down through Manchester. After that, clear down to 55. Southbound 55, just a little busy Gasconade Bates. There's slow stuff north of Z all the way down to 67. Westbound 64 still a backup west of 3rd Street headed across the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Roger Brand at the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, it's Friday on the Redbird Rush Hour. That means he's got the three of us. I got Bernie, I got Matt, I got Wheeler. We got a good day talking Cardinals baseball. Heading into an interesting series, right? The Rangers were preseason favorite by many people's account to be the top team in the American League West, and they're a couple games under 500. Their offense hasn't performed as expected. They've had a couple of injuries on the pitching side. Their bullpen was bad early. And then we have the Cardinals on the other side who weren't projected to be in this position, but are now 8 games over 500. And what is it now, guys, for 23, 24, 25 games, one of the hottest teams in baseball?
Yeah, Cardinals got the best record in baseball since May the 4th, second best record in the month
since
of
Star
May.
Wars Day.
Yeah, there you go. And, you go back to when they retooled the bullpen and went into place April the 25th, and they have the second best record in baseball since then. So, they're on a roll. Every area of the team's working very well.
Yeah, the Rangers fired I think they called him their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, they did.
Donnie Ecker, I think it was.
Same guy who was their guy that won them the World Series, by the way.
Yeah. So
the same hitting coach. I'm guessing he didn't change much.
They brought in Boone, and they look exactly the same offensively.
It's the same guys.
Yeah, the change hasn't impacted anything whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm not saying that coaches don't matter. They do, right? We're talking a little bit about Brant Brown over the course of the year. There's been a clear impact. They connect, all of that. But it is also partly, guys, and would you agree, Bern, that a lot of it is you got some better hitters in your lineup. And some of your good hitters are healthy, like Newt's played every day. Mm-hmm. Donovan's playing every day, and he's a year further removed from the Tommy John. And Contreras is healthy, and Herrera's Herrera, and Scott is making an impact. Like it's a combination of things, but it's also, we got to remember the player's part in this.
Yeah, and Mason Wynn keeps getting better and better.
Good point.
We just go on and on and on. Walker's starting to hit. Yeah, the players have a lot to do with it. One of the big problems with the Rangers, Adolis Garcia, and I apologize because, of course, I know since the Cardinals trade him, he's like the greatest right-handed slugger in the history of baseball. But he's pretty much cooked by now. He's a shadow of himself. And Marcus Semien, who's just a great player, but he's at the end of the line. And then some of their young guys who in the past had done some good things really well, were going to be a really big part of this team in terms of impact. They've had some struggling guys. And Corey Seager out, he's hurt a lot, but when he plays, he's great, but he's been on the IL a couple different times. Yeah, so they're 28th in the majors for runs per game. And
wow.
I think they're 30th in OPS.
Ooh.
And you know what? And this will sound familiar to Cardinals fans. They'll bring back bad memories. The Rangers, with runners in scoring position, are hitting 210.
Wow.
Yeah.
They can't score runs. They get shut out as much as anybody in baseball. They are a bad offensive club right now.
Man, that is absolutely not. I would never have expected that with the players there. But you're right, Bern. They have had some injuries, right? Seager's hurt a lot. Langford missed some time. So they've definitely missed some guys at various points. Jake Berger got off to a terrible start and got sent down to the minors. He's back, and he's been swinging it better since the demotion. He did a little retooling down there, but it's still not what anybody expected. And on the Cardinals, I think what might be, I don't want to say surprising, but maybe surprising. Yeah, maybe that's the right term. The most surprising thing to me is how well-rounded they are. They are 8th in the major leagues in runs scored. They're 12th in ERA, actually tied for 11th with the Atlanta Braves in ERA. They're one of the top 2 or 3 defensive teams. And I think, I haven't looked it up, I haven't checked it out, guys, on the base running side, Bernie, but I think they're one of the better base running teams, or at least middle of the pack, right?
Well, yeah, the stolen base part is not really good.
No, it's not.
But Ali Marmol's smart, because what's the point of having runners thrown out if they don't know how to steal bases, But a stat that I always look at is extra bases taken. That's like how many bases do you advance? Not like on batted balls, right? they're number one in the majors, like 69 bases taken. And so, and you also look at a rotation that's tied for fifth in quality starts. The starting pitching's got the 9th best ERA. And the bullpen since April 25th has got the 2nd best ERA in the majors. So the point is there really is no true weakness on this team as it stands right now.
I love watching this team run the bases. Again, not talking about stolen bases,
right,
but just their ability to go first to third, their ability to turn a single into a double, things like that. They're really good at it. And that goes back to, sometimes we say, this is such a fun team. This is such an entertaining team. Well, how are they that? There's a good example. You want to see an exciting play. An exciting play is when they do take the extra base. And Victor Scott leads the way on that. But Lars Nootbaar is right there. Mason Wynn is right there. Do they run into some outs occasionally? Yeah, like Nootbaar made a really bad decision a couple days ago when he tried to go to second on that play and got thrown out by a mile. But I don't know on that play if he just thought the throw was going to go to third and not to second, and that's why he did it. But even if he thought he was going to get to second and he was just trying to challenge the throw, if you have that attitude, I think this team is going to show that more often than not, they're going to get that extra base.
Yeah. And
I also,
go ahead, Brent.
Good. No, I also like the fact that they're not pull crazy. They're hitters. A big difference in this attack under Brent Brown. He wants his guys to pull, but only if it's pitches that they can do damage with. Don't go up there and just trying to pull everything. It's stupid. But the Cardinals, up until recently, and I think they still might be there again, lead the majors in opposite field hits. They hit the ball straight away a lot. And when they do pull, they do a lot of damage. But they're no longer this pull crazy lineup. They spread the ball around the field, and they're tough to defend that way, because if you're going to pitch them outside, right-handed hitter's going to take it to right field. Left-handed hitter's going to take it to left field. Brendan Donovan hits it all everywhere. So the versatility of their hitting approach is really outstanding.
So one of the things I had on the list to throw at you guys, I'm just going to do it now because it ties in here. We may not be able to cover it in the 3 minutes we have, but we can bring it into the next segment too. And I forgot to mention this, 314-436-7900 if anybody wants to text us. And of course, you can just throw in a comment via Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube if you're watching us on the stream. Lots of ways for you to interact, and we'd love to bring those things into the show as we go along. All right, so what I wanted to throw at you guys today is Cardinals are on, as of today, on a pace to win 92.5 games. So between 92 and 93 based on their current winning percentage. And I was going to bring into the question, is that, in your guys' mind, just possibly sustainable? But as I'm listening to us talk about how many things are good, you're scoring runs, you're doing a lot of different things on offense, you're doing the base running side, you're an elite defensive team, your pitching staff is doing the job. That sounds sustainable, because if one part fails, the other part should balance it out, and you're going to have streaks. We know that, but I feel like this may not be just a fluke.
I don't think it is, because we just spent a lot of time talking about it. I mean, they are a good, solid team in every area. There's no glaring weakness. The other thing is that they have good depth. I think is if they need to plug in position players, they have guys in the minors that can help them. If the starting rotation stays healthy, they're solid enough, and they got that great defense behind them. Their pitchers don't walk guys. They also don't allow home runs. They're very fundamentally sound. And this is the 4th best pitching staff in the majors at location. They throw pitches where they want the pitches to go. So there's not a lot of holes in their game. And the other thing is, all you got to do is look at their run differential. It's excellent. And all you got to do is also just look at the fact that their remaining strength of schedule is either like the sixth easiest or maybe 7th easiest. So I don't see any cataclysmic event that would just suddenly reduce them to like a mediocre team.
Yeah, at some point you would think that they kind of will settle in to who they're going to be on, because
they're not the 18-5 team, but they're also not the crappy April team.
Exactly.
Either.
So they get to this 92 win pace, a combination of the negative of where they were at when they were 5 game under 500 versus what they've done over the last 18 of the last 23. 18 of the last 23 is a 120 win pace or whatever, which obviously they're not going to win. So at some point it is they're going to settle into whatever they're going to be this year. And hopefully they keep this winning streak going as long as possible, this winning trend going as long as possible. But I will be curious to see once it kind of settles into who they are, what it actually looks like at that point.
All right, we got a full show tonight going all the way up until 6 o'clock. Matt Pauley's got you for the pregame at 6:10, first pitch 7:05 down in Texas. We'll pick up the conversation. We'll take some of your thoughts as well. You can just throw into the comments on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. You can text 314-436-7900. It's the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Looking for the perfect townhome in St. Peters? Don't miss the display grand opening of the Townsend Linneman, Saturday, June 7th from 12 to 5 p.m. Tour our brand new decorated display, enjoy appetizers, and enter our prize giveaway. Visit us and discover luxury 2 to 3 bedroom townhomes with 2-car attached garages and unparalleled community amenities, including a pool, pool house, dog park, and more. Plus, enjoy pre-construction pricing up to $25,000 off. Visit us just south of 364 west of Jung Station Road. For more details, visit lombardohomes.com.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are joined by Dr. Albert Kim.
We're using not only molecules, but also machines to confront brain tumors. We have things like laser, which sounds a little science fiction, but lasers can be used to kill tumors. And we can use non-invasive surgeries. It's called focused ultrasound.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
I really need funding to expand my inventory.
Swish Funding can help you expand inventory, upgrade equipment, and boost your cash flow.
Well, okay, but I need funding fast.
Swish Funding provides funding from $25,000 to $2 million with payment terms tailored to your needs and cash in your account in less than 24 hours.
So what's the catch?
No catch. If you've been in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of $50,000, you could qualify. Just go to swishfunding.com to apply. That's swishfunding.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com traffic center.
Well, westbound 64 is still heavy west of the 70 split. Some of it's stop and go headed across the Poplar. Westbound 70, still slow stuff from Riverview out through Jennings Station in St. Charles County. West of Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through Z is still pretty slow. It's jammed. I can't see what the problem is, but there's something blocking. It's either a stall or a crash. Eastbound 70 just before David Hokel Parkway. Traffic's jammed back to Forest Stell right now. If you're headed home on westbound 64, it's a little busy. Clayton, Skinker, McCausland area, a little slow at Ballas. There's heavy traffic in pockets, though, from 364 out to Highway 70. South 270, Ladue to 64 is a little slow after that. Good to go to 55. Southbound 55, just kind of busy at Bates. There's still a couple of slowdowns, though, from right around Highway Z down to 67. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
We're picking back up with the Redbird Rush Hour here on a Friday. Got a good baseball series this weekend. And you know, Matt, you just hit on before the break. Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklas, Kevin Wheeler with you here. And we'll get to some of your comments as well. So again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you can just comment right there if you're watching on the stream. And if you want to text, we got that open too, 314-436-7900. So Matt, you just mentioned this, and Bern, I think this is an interesting part of the conversation is the Cardinals just went through May, and May was tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Mets, it's the Tigers, it's the Phillies, and you come out of that, 18-5. I mean, they beat the Phillies 2 out of 3. Nobody's beating the Phillies right now. So again, not talking about cutting up paper for the confetti for the parade or anything like that, but just pointing out, as Matt noted, that you do not have the most difficult schedule moving forward. And we can see that here. Once you get past the Dodgers next week, it's a lot more manageable for a little bit till you get to the Cubs.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it'll be game on then, June the 23rd. I can't wait for that.
How great is that going to be?
4-game series at Busch Stadium. And so the Cubs lost today, by the way. So if the Cardinals can win tonight, they'll be 2 games out. Not bad for given the difference in the payrolls, given also the difference in what teams each team's objective was going into the season.
Yeah,
Cubs going all in. Cardinals are kind of halfway. Good reflection on the Cardinals. Although I think that Cubs lineup is just incredible. So I just can't wait to see these teams actually play each other.
The Cardinals are also tied with the Fighting Schultz in San Diego, which is something to take note of.
I like that name. I want to add that Y though. Let's call them the Fighting Schultes.
Okay, Fighting Schultes of San Diego.
I kind of like that. It sounds a little less like the other word. All right, so we got a comment. Lauren jumped in on this on the expectations so far. And I think this is an interesting point, as far as our expectations, right? We all knew that this was going to be, quote unquote, the reset. They weren't spending big money in the offseason, not making big acquisitions. But for those listening on the radio, Lauren's messages didn't even think about being where we are right now in the standings. It's just interesting how they say it's a rebuild. I mean, it's a year where we didn't expect to be in the race, even though it's only going into June. I'm not saying we're going to the postseason, but what a season we've had so far. And I think, Lauren, thanks for jumping in. She's a regular. We see Lauren on the stream every single day. We appreciate you. But I think that's interesting because we all thought that this was possible, but we didn't necessarily think it was the likely outcome, right?
Good, Matt?
Yeah, no. Likely outcome, no. I also think that a lot of the Cardinals didn't actually tell us anything. Right. Like at the bottom of the line, they said it was a transition year, but they also said they expected to win. So every time they said something out of this side of the mouth, they said something out of the other side of the mouth. And then people just kind of ran with it. So when people heard the words transition, they assumed, they're not expecting to win. When people heard runway and giving the kids an opportunity, that means they're not supposed to win this year. Again, to be fair, the Cardinals also never said, hey, our number one goal is to go win and be competitive and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I feel like the expectations actually weren't really set by the club because the messaging was not always clear on what was going on.
Vern, do you think that part of that messaging received was the fact that the payroll was cut?
Yeah, and John Mozeliak, I think, told the truth at the end of that press conference to begin the offseason where he said, we're going to take a step back this year. Now, I think he thought at the time he'd be able to trade Nolan Arenado.
Right.
And that hasn't happened, but that's okay. I do think, though, that the Cardinals' messaging, to me, it seemed really sloppy in a way, but is also smart in a way. And, okay, how can both things be true? Because they set it up to where they could, no matter what happened during the season, they could go back and say, well, we did say we're going to take a step back.
Right,
we did say this was all about the young players. But if they have a really good season, then they can say, well, we tried to tell everyone that we thought we were going to be really good, So they got it covered both ways, right?
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
And it goes that's a macro point, Bernie. A micro point on that exact same thing is if they're playing a game and they make a move to go for win. Well, they're always trying to win. Whereas if they're playing a game and let's say they go for a bad matchup late in a big moment because they want to give runway to somebody, they can say, well, it was always about the run. So, I mean, it's true from a moment by moment basis, but also from a large basis as well.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. We've talked about that before where we're like, okay, are we going to pick a lane here? So let me ask you guys this. Again, we only have 2 minutes, but let's just throw this in there. Does this position where you are now heading into June change how you think they should run things moving forward? I mean, should it be more about, hey, we got to do the things we need to win? And yeah, runway exists for some where it makes sense, but winning's number one because we're in it.
Well, Matt, tell me what you think about this. Both of you guys. if you look at the so-called runway thing, the only guy that's not really getting the full runway that we thought would be is Nolan Gorman.
Right.
So I use him as an example. They've already made that adjustment.
Yep.
Ali Marmol has said, and he reiterated to Katie Wu earlier this week that he's going to go with Burleson, like as a left-handed hitter, as a DH or whatever it may be, because Burleson has earned the at-bats. So they're already making those decisions to sort of pull back a little bit if someone else is doing better, especially a guy like Burleson, who is still a pretty young player experience-wise. So I think that's already happening. I think that's underway already.
Yeah, agreed 100%. They're trying to win. They're giving guys if the runway thing and the finding out who guys was the single most important thing, Nolan Gorman would be playing a lot more. They'd figure out a way to make that happen. But they're winning games.
Yeah.
And and Alec Burleson, who was in a bench role earlier on as he got more opportunities. And I give so much credit to Burleson because he has changed his approach at the plate, the way what he's swinging at. The swing decisions he's making are the best swing decisions he's made in his entire career, and he's getting rewarded for that with more playing time.
That's Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler with you here on the Redbird Rush Hour. We're taking you up until 6 o'clock. A reminder, 6:10 for the pregame show with Matt, 7:05 for the first pitch with the Cardinals here on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. As you know, if you listen to the show, big fan of Zero Res. They have been a supporter of the show for over 15 years now, which I hope means something, that when you guys have decisions to make on who's going to clean your carpet or where you're going to buy a car, that you understand that Zero Res has been a big part of the Dave Glover show now for over a decade. They have a special deal every month. This month, it is 3 rooms of carpeting, deep clean, starting at $129. $75 off your air duct cleaning. We also do all types of flooring. We have a great hardwood treatment now that's not going to set you back a whole lot of money. These guys are great. They're punctual. They are professional. I've had them out to my house half a dozen, maybe a dozen times over the years. I just love them. Call them at 314-474-2020 or go online at zeroresstl.com. Say that you want the Dave Glover deal. Spell it backwards or forward to spells the same. That's Zero Res, 314-474-2020.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and now is a great time to be a home seller in the St. Louis market. Home values are up an average of 2.2% year over year, which means you can take advantage of high prices in a low inventory market. But you should act fast and start by talking to St. Louis's real estate expert, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. While the average realtor sells 4 to 5 homes a year, Gloria has sold nearly 400 homes in the last 2 years. Plus, Gloria sells faster and for more money. Gloria Liu is so confident she will guarantee to sell your home at a price acceptable to you, or Gloria will buy it herself. It may seem like a good idea to use a discount realtor or that friend who sells a few homes a year, but it could literally cost you thousands of dollars. Worse, your home may not even sell. My advice is to call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or find her online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Concerned about where your retirement is heading? Is it on track to meet your needs and goals? Are taxes and inflation a constant worry? Well, you can join Jerry Means for What Retirement Means to You, powered by Means Financial Group, and find out how their team can help guide you to that retirement you've always dreamed of. Tune into What Retirement Means to You with Jerry Means, Saturdays at 3 on KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. More details at meansfinancialgroup.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
529, we've got sunshine and 77 downtown at the Arch. An adoption event for tornado-impacted animals is taking place tomorrow at Union Station. The Humane Society of Missouri, in the aftermath, has been distributing thousands of pounds of pet food and giving shelter to pets whose families are currently without housing. Some pets have been surrendered because families can no longer care for them. The Humane Society is asking people to step up to foster or adopt animals. The adoption event is tomorrow from 10 to 2. The majority of the world's shoes are made in China. Clayton-based Caleres says it's planning $15 million in cost cuts after a quarterly drop in sales and profit. As President Trump's tariff war with China continues, Caleres president and CEO Jay Schmidt says they acted quickly to pause or cancel orders with China, try to relocate manufacturing, but he says each decision has a cost. Given the uncertainty in the environment, the company is suspending its guidance. According to the Business Journal, Caleres, formerly known as Brown Shoe, will undergo structural cost-cutting actions, but didn't say where the cuts would be made. The Butterfly House in Chesterfield recently named fourth best attraction of its kind in a national poll. Director Jennifer Mulix told MissouriNet they have butterflies from throughout the world. She says one of the most popular with visitors is the feisty blue morpho.
They're actually sort of saying like, hey, this is my nectar. I'm kind of being over here. Or they're kind of looking for mates and things. And so, they're not aggressive by any means. You're not going to see them locking antenna or anything.
Butterfly House hours are 9 till 4, except for Mondays when they're closed. Clear sky tonight, low 63 degrees. For tomorrow, we've got sunshine, 84. For Sunday, sunshine, 87. Right now, sunshine, 77 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Oh, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Oh, wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Bernie Miklasz here, speaking on behalf of Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. The Saliga family's been taking care of generations of St. Louis families going all the way back to 1927, and the Saligas still own the business. Dan Saliga is the owner-operator of this proud family business, and the Miklasz family's been calling on Saliga for the last 15, 16 years, and they've helped us so often. We know that they set the standard for honesty, knowledge, professionalism, prompt service. We have found nothing about Saliga that would even remotely register as a complaint. And in our experience, Saliga has always looked for low-cost solutions to save us money. So that speaks well of their integrity. Saliga also has a Priority Club, which is a maintenance program, and it'll save you money by extending the life of your equipment, and also give you the peace of mind of knowing everything is safe, and you'll receive priority scheduling. So they've been doing this since 1927, Saliga Heating and Cooling. They have free estimates and financing options, and they still have the best and most trustworthy customer service in St. Louis. To find out more, call Saliga at 314-481-7333 or visit SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com. Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Redbird Rush Hour moving along here on KMOX. Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler with you here till the top of the hour. 6:10, the pregame show starts, and 7:05 for the first pitch tonight. Throwing the first pitch for the bottom of the first inning for the Cardinals will be our Game Day Men's Health peak performer. Get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health, Matthew Liberatore. And I'm going to keep we keep bringing him up for obvious reasons, because I think it's arguable that he's pitching himself into position to potentially be an all-star. No matter what measure you want to look at, that kind of, again, aside from wins and losses, which I think we all agree, right? Like, people aren't really looking at anymore. It's not really that much of a factor. But Matthew Liberatore is 8th in the National League in earned run average. He is 6th in expected earned run average, so he's actually pitched better than his actual ERA. His fielding independent is 4th in the National League, and this is the part I didn't know, Bernie. I didn't know until seeing this. There are only 10 National League starters who have a better four-seam fastball in terms of velocity than Matthew Liberatore. So he is one of the best and hardest throwing starting pitchers in the National League.
He's having a terrific season. In my mind, he's their number one starter, and I do think that he should be considered well on way to becoming an all-star if he stays healthy. You mentioned fielding independent ERA. It's one that I like to use when I talk about how great Liberatore is, because it takes the defense out of it. Fielding independent ERA is based on what the things that a pitcher himself can control.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at his fielding independent ERA among National League pitchers, you mentioned he's 4th, but he is better than Yamamoto, Wheeler, Sale. He's basically,
Michael King,
in fact,
yeah.
In fact, he's got the same fielding independent ERA as Paul Skeens. He's better than Dylan Cease. I could go right on down the line. And the reason for that, say, well, what gives him such a great fielding independent ERA? Well, he's got the lowest walk rate among a National League starter. He's got one of the very best strikeout walk ratios among major National League starters. And the other thing is second lowest home run rate allowed by a National League starter. He's about as efficient as they come.
Have you guys seen how many extra base hits he's given up to left-handed batters this year?
No.
Okay, he's faced 54 lefties this year. He's given up 1 extra base hit. Sal Frelick had a double back on April 25th. That's it. 54 at bats, 1 extra base hit against lefties. It's insane.
Well, it is, but but what's even more impressive than that, because he's always been able to hammer left-handed hitters. He's neutralized right-handed hitters this year because he throws that cutter. Like, they used to kill him. We all know that.
Yep.
But he got rid of the curveball. He went with the cutter. He mixes pitches better. And the right-handed hitters, I don't have it in front of me, but it's almost stunning how low their numbers are against him.
And an unheralded number, but I think it's an important one. Tied with Jesus Luzardo in the National League for the best ratio or percentage of fly balls that become home runs. So only 4.8% of the fly balls he allows are home runs. So when the ball's in the air, it's not hit hard. And, we all knew he was talented, and he was always a highly rated prospect. But, I think the all-star criteria, if you're choosing today, he's in. He's in. He's 7th in pitcher WAR in the National League. Right. There's literally no more than 3 or 4 pitchers that are better than him across the board.
Righties, by the way, hitting .236 against him, and opposing OPS of .605, opposing slug of .348. So you're right, Bernie. The numbers against righties are very, very good. You combine that with just the absolute domination against lefties, and it just goes into what we're talking about here, just how flat out good he is in all moments.
Yeah. And boy, did you need something like this. We talked about how well-rounded this team is. And, without him performing at this level, you're probably a few games worse in the standings than you are right now. Right. Doubt. This guy's performing like an ace. If he's performing like a 5th starter, you probably have at least 3 more losses.
And this impacts games moving forward because he's going out and giving you 6-7 innings every single time. So that helps your bullpen. So he's not just helping you win the game today. He's helping you win the game tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Good point.
All right. We got some questions coming in on the chat. So if you want to throw them at us via Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, you can. You can text 314-436-7900. We're going to pick it right back up after a quick hit with traffic with Captain Roger Brand.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
And traffic's doing pretty well out there, Kevin. If you're heading home on westbound Highway 70, the only heavy traffic is just a slowdown from A out to about Z. Eastbound 70, David Hokel into Wentzville Parkway, that's still kind of busy. If you're on westbound Highway 64, there's slow stuff from about the Science Center to Clayton Skinker. After that, it doesn't bog down again until Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and then it's heavy from there all the way to 70. South 270 is clear. Westbound 44 looks good. South 55 in the city's fine. There's just a little slowdown right around Crystal City, A down to 67. There's a couple of slow spots there. Downtown's 44 past the Poplars a little busy, and there's still a backup westbound 64 from west of 3rd Street headed across the Poplar. Next update at 5:50 from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
All right, picking it right back up on the Redbird Rush Hour. You got Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Some questions popping up. This one is coming in from YouTube, and it's from Bryce. So I'll read it for everybody listening on the radio side. But it said the Cardinals need another strikeout reliever. And what would Tampa want for Peter Fairbanks? It's funny, Bernie. I brought that name up on DGS today when Dave asked about what the team could use. I think all of us agree that bullpen's always an easy thing to target. We don't know that that'll be the only need because, as you pointed out, Bern, injuries can be a big part of what decides what you're going to do. But I think the cost for Fairbanks is something you could afford. I don't know specifically what Tampa wants, but you've matched up with them before. They have a need in their system for catching, and you have a lot of catching. They might even have an interest in a guy like Nolan Gorman because they're probably going to end up moving Brandon Lau at some point as he's making more and more money. So they're creative about getting guys into the lineup and all of that too. I think it would be, I don't want to go into the specifics, it's too early, but Bernie, I think you can match up on that kind of guy.
Well, it depends on what you want to give up. The one thing we have to take into account, though, that if they have put the word out that Pete Fairbanks is available, you're going to have some big shooters trying to get him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's not like it's going to exclusively be talks between the Cardinals and the Rays. So the Cardinals are going to have to beat offers made by other teams because Tampa Bay will seek to max it out. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
he's really good. But I don't have this in front of me, but I do want to take a deeper dive into his stats sometime and find out more.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And Matt, we talked about it a little bit in the office, but that's a good point that Byrne makes is that you're going to have probably every contender because every contender wants big arms for the bullpen going into the postseason.
Yeah, and I know. Look, a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say because they're winning and it's fun, and you start to imagine what a playoff run might look like. But part of this year is setting up the organization for the future, no matter how many wins this team might get this season. And I hope and I think they will be. You need to be really careful at the trade deadline that you don't give up some pieces that could be big parts moving forward. Now, there's some pieces that won't be. What about Thomas Saggese? Like you could move on from him. I like Thomas Saggese a lot. I hope he's got a future with the Cardinals. But when you think about JJ Weatherholt getting here, when you think about Mason Wynn already being in, when you think about the fact that they haven't thrown Saggese ever in the outfield, so he's limited in positions that he's going to play. You don't love him at third base. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. Where does he really fit on this roster moving forward? And at some point, is he somebody that you're comfortable moving on from? Same thing with Nolan Gorman. So there are pieces there that are okay for me to see them not give away, but trade away, even if they're very good players. But if there's a guy who has a really legitimate opportunity to be a big part of this team moving forward, that's where I start to pump the brakes almost no matter what the return is.
Yeah, you would agree with me. Yeah, we're all on that. Go ahead, Bern.
Real quick, because I wanted to look this up because I thought this was true, and it is. The one thing about Fairbanks, and I like him, don't get me wrong, his ERA is really good. His fielding independent ERA is fine. But Fairbanks is a guy that, first of all, his strikeout rate is not what we would assume it is.
No.
It's good. It's 23.5%, but that's not 28 or 30%.
Right.
And the other thing about him, gosh almighty, does he walk a lot of guys? His walk rate's about 13%. Yep. And to put it another way, he's averaging nearly 5 walks per 9 innings. So, I would just say be careful there.
Yeah, I think there's always, when it's just an example of a guy that makes sense. Because one thing, if you're going to add to the pen, I like the idea, and maybe it's not him. Maybe there's a different match there, but I would love the idea of adding someone that comes into a role now, but might be able to be your closer if Helsley leaves.
Right. I agree.
And that would make it easier to do what you're talking about, Matt, which is, because look, we all agree, and we talked about this all winter. they're going to have to clear the deck some more.
Yes.
There's still a glut of too many guys for too few positions. What we don't want to tap into is the guys like McGreevy and Matthews and Hentz and Tekoa Roby. We don't want to tap into that, and you don't want to tap into Weatherholt. You're not going those routes.
Right.
So we are talking about dealing from your areas where you might have the depth to do it, which is that glut of infielders or maybe a catcher.
Yeah, if they want to trade Leonardo Bernal and the return is great, okay, because you got.
I'd trade Crooks before him, by the way.
Crooks is almost there. Like you
I know that's why, because I got 2 guys now plus Herrera.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, you can move either of those guys. It's possible.
Yeah, fun. The fact that we can even kick this around right now makes me happy. You know, I don't mind retools. I don't mind going young. In fact, we found out that going young is actually probably better than what they've been doing.
Yes, 100%.
You're right, and this is a thing we have to talk about sometime, maybe on another setting on KMOX. But I wonder whether some Cardinals fans who are so obsessed with payroll are learning something here about, you can put together a hell of a team and spend $40 million less than you were for a pretty mediocre team.
Yeah.
Everybody, the Cardinals have a better record right now, guys, than 6 teams that are spending $200 million or more on payroll this year.
Wow.
There's a reason the Tampa's and Milwaukee's win.
Right.
You don't have to spend money,
brother. Yeah. Exactly. So maybe people will get a little educated here about spending money and how it's not a cure-all. In fact, spending money, if you spend it poorly, can be a huge detriment to your team.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, brings us back to the idea of trusting young guys, because even if they don't work out, they're not costing you $15 million. They're not costing you $12 million to give you, 25 league average or worse starts.
And look, this is part of why the players union has the fights that they do, because the middle class is being pushed out.
Yeah, well, I mean, got to be better, because if you're not better than average, then that kid can replace you. Yeah. Right?
Right. I'm looking at Wes is saying wrong. If you have a chance of winning, you're one big piece away. You have to get a big arm for the pen, a bird in hand. You cannot give up on the imminent chance to win a division for future hopes. Well, first of all, who the heck's saying that they who the heck's saying they shouldn't try to improve the team? Nobody here.
No.
But we're also saying, Pete Fairbanks, my opinion, is because I'm seeing all the fan chatter. One of the reasons people love him so much is he's like a Mizzou guy.
Well, he's Webster Groves. He's my guy.
Webster Groves
be careful
guy.
Now.
Okay. I made a mistake on that. He's a local guy. I get it. That's awesome. But again, you have if they're getting these massive offers for him, what are you willing to give up for a guy because he's a native of Webster Groves? You're going to outbid the Yankees? You're gonna outbid the Dodgers? I mean, the Cardinals should be aggressive, fairly aggressive, if they have a chance to win.
Yeah.
But it for the sake of like sort of undercutting your future, I don't know, man. We go from one extreme to another in our town. Wes was probably one of the guys. This team's going to lose 98 games. Wes, you probably didn't say that. I'm just having some fun with it.
That's Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. We got one more segment to go here on the Redbird Rush Hour. Before we get there, though, let me tell you about my friends at Game Day Men's Health. You'll find them at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Just let me walk you through my experience with Game Day. So I went in a few months ago for a consultation. They do a blood test, and then after they get that, they tell you, okay, you're trying to do what? And I'm like, I just want to feel better. Like my legs get heavy. I feel tired. I don't recover from workouts the way that I want to. I laid all that out there. So they listened to what I'm looking for. And they said, all right, well, here's what your blood test shows. Your testosterone's low. And here's how we can help you. And it's the TRT. That's the testosterone replacement therapy. So it took about an hour for the blood test and the consultation. And then I get on the plan. And then you start to see the plan work. The dead legs are gone. I'm in my coaching season now, which means 6, 7, 8, 9, even 12-hour days on weekends coaching baseball on top of keeping up with workouts and doing all that. And I feel better than I have in years. I mean, like 10 years. And I'm 53 now, feeling like I was in my early 40s because I'm getting that benefit. You can do the same. It's simple. Now, your treatment may be different than mine. Maybe you're looking for ED treatments. Maybe you want medical weight loss. They have all kinds of options. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Everything is overseen by board-certified physicians. They're all trained experts. Everything is on the upfront. You get one price explained upfront. You got 3 locations: Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com to get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit CantorInjuryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Hey, it's Jeff at Sachs Financial. Over the last 15 years, we've been able to help our clients focus on the fundamentals and tune out the daily grind by putting a great retirement plan in place. If you don't have one, find out how to get started at retiresafestl.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Ford is built for America, from America. Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. There's never been a better time to buy a Ford at Suntrup Ford Kirkwood or Suntrup Ford Westport. Right now, everyone pays employee pricing, tariff-free, and no hidden increases. Drive home in the Ford you've always wanted, built with pride at a price you can trust. Hurry in, these offers won't last. Visit Suntrup Ford Kirkwood or Suntrup Ford Westport, or shop online at suntrupford.com. Save more at Suntrup Ford.
Traffic from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
Well, they got a report of some debris on westbound 64 right around Research Park, so pay attention if you're headed that way. Westbound 64 in the city, still a little slow. Hampton to Clayton Skinker, and in St. Charles County, Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70 is busy. Westbound 70, just approaching 61 to Z is slow. Eastbound 70, David Hokeland to Wentzville Parkway, still a few busy spots running that way. Other than that, downtown westbound 64 west of 3rd Street to the Poplars backed up, and Old Lincoln Trail just east of 161 remains closed due to a serious crash. I'm Roger Brand at the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, we can wrap up the Redbird Rush Hour here in a few minutes. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Matt's got the pregame show starting at 6:10, first pitch 7:05. I think the fun thing to close with is just kind of where we were at the end of the last segment, which is the flow of a season, right? You know, we had an off season of dread. We had an off season of anger and frustration. We had an April of that too, and now May is different. And this is why baseball's awesome, because it's not going to be the same. It's not always what you expect. But the most important thing is it's not football. And you don't have to decide what a team is after 1 week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks. If you're 0-4 in the NFL, you're done. You're not going to the playoffs. History shows it. If you're 0-4 in baseball, or you're 5 games under 500 at the end of April, Bernie, you still got plenty of time to do something, and we just watched it happen.
Exactly. The Cardinals are the latest to kind of try out that theory, and the theory does have a lot of merit. I mean, look at the 20. What was the year the Phillies, was that 2022? Yeah, 2022. Yeah. They were under 500 and they fired Joe Girardi, and they basically were buried. And people were saying, well, gosh, that team just went bad in a hurry. Mm-hmm. They were incredible down the stretch and got in the playoffs, knocked out the Cardinals, and got all the way to the World Series, where they came up short. Or did they go to the? Yeah, they went to the World Series. Then they lost to Houston. But that's really a great example of what we're talking about. 2022 Phillies.
Yep. Yeah, there's plenty of time. There's some teams right. If you're the Atlanta Braves and you're 3 games under 500 and you've probably just lost another pitcher, you're still fine. Yeah. You're still completely fine. Like, people in Atlanta should not be freaking out right now. The person who does my job in Atlanta, I'm sure, is hearing from people every single day about how terrible things are going to be. Yeah. Is there a possibility that they're just a cursed season and they never get it going? And that's a legit possibility. But might they also just go on a run and win that division and go on a deep playoff run? That's just as possible.
Yeah, like Atlanta's a good example. They just lost A.J. Smith-Shawver, who looks like Tommy John, but they just got Strider back a week ago, and Acuna just came back a week ago. So you added 2 legit all-stars to basically what was a 500 team, and they've got some other guys underperforming. In a month, we could look up and see them a game behind first place in the division. And that's, again, we only have a minute and a half, so we can't do a deep dive on this, but I do think we've gone through in the last 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years, the footballization of the sports world, where everybody mimics the intensity and the urgency of football, but no other sport has it, which is why each sport is great by itself.
Yes.
Right. Well said, man. Well said.
You know, we do this where a bad opening series, or you have you're and even in football, I think we're overly dramatic. I got buddies. I'm a Detroit fan by birth, and we're Lions fans. I got buddies at the halftime of a game. They're done. They're not going anywhere. Meanwhile, they're like 15-2. It's like, guys, just calm down.
Look, there's a reason that Aaron Rodgers did the RELAX a few years ago.
It's the only thing he's ever said that I think makes sense.
There's a famous bit of audio out there. It might be in the KMOX archives. In one of Tony La Russa's seasons, it was one of the.
It was 2011.
It's the first week of the season.
Yes,
because people were going nuts. People again. To your point, if the people thought it was the NFL season. Earl Weaver, a new writer was covering the Orioles, a beat writer, and he was covering the Oakland Raiders before this. So the Orioles were getting off to their slow start against under Earl Weaver, as they always did. They're having a bad April, and this writer's writing stuff as if like the season is on the brink. They're ready to go over the cliff. And he said, come in here. I know you cover football. And he said, oh, yeah, you do. He said, you know what? We play 162 here. Okay, relax, settle down. Right?
That's great. Absolutely great. Two legends. Bernie, have a great weekend. It's been fun as always. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Matt, have a great night and a great weekend.
All right.
And everybody else listening, have a great weekend. We got Cardinals baseball coming up after the news on KMOX.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house?